Hey, what's up, guys? It's Russo, and we're back. We almost got the sweep to start week 6. We missed it by one target. We didn't even need the catch. But we do have week 6 continuing tomorrow, starting early, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So if you're doing fantasy stuff, make sure you're good to go for the morning game. They're just giving us morning games every week, which I'm actually not like the biggest fan of because I have church on Sunday. So, but we have 2 games on Monday as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun moving forward. And man, I want to hit a 6-man for this NFL slate. Let's talk about the Thursday night game. So AJ Brown, we took him over 7.5. Receiving targets, he went for 9. Wan'Dale Robinson, we took him over 7.5. He went for 7. That was the only play that missed. Dallas Goedert, I told you guys that fantasy score at 9 was way too low. He crushed it. He had this beat in the first quarter. He ended up going for 26. And then Paulson Adebo, he ended up getting it done for us. We took him over 5.5 tackles plus assists. He ends up going for 7. So very close. If you flexed it, you were in the green. Or if you just took a couple of these, I hope some of you guys cashed off of these. Before we get into today's picks, I've got 6 for you. I want to remind you, it's fall. The days are getting shorter, and we're running a special. Just type in code FALL when you're signing up for our Discord. You get 75% off. Just having some fun with that through the rest of October. So if you want to come check out our Discord community, 75% off, use code FALL. And let's talk about the picks. So here's what I'm going to be going with. I'm going to actually pull it up on my phone because it's hard to see on my screen when I'm running all these programs. Okay, so I love these. So we'll start off with, it's going to be different than the screen, but we're going to go AJ Barner over 6.5 fantasy score. Rico Dowdle over 15.5 fantasy score. Going to go Ryan Flournoy for the Cowboys. By the way, this Carolina Cowboys game has a lot of value in it. We'll get into all that, but I'm happy to have 2 different players in that game. So Ryan Flournoy, wide receiver for the Cowboys, 35.5 receiving yards is what I got it locked in at. Taking that for more. We're going to go Stefan Diggs over 61.5 receiving yards. Jordan Love, I'm sure a lot of you guys are on this, but I had to throw it in because I feel good about this play. 8.5 rushing yards. I'm going to take that for more. And then we're going to wrap it up with our boy Tyquan Thornton, who just keeps cashing for us. It's still at 4.5 fantasy score. I don't care who's healthy. I don't care. I mean, we'll maybe see what lines they're giving us. I think it's just going to go down when Rashee Rice gets back. But what are we doing here? 4.5 fantasy score with full point PPR. We're absolutely going to lock that in all day. So before we get into all the details, if you guys don't mind, do me a favor, like the video, hype it if you want. I know you only get a certain amount of hypes, but I'm really trying to get back on track. You guys have been helping out a lot. So if you want to like the video, I appreciate it. And if you hype it, that's even awesome. It's even more awesome. So I appreciate the support. Drop me a comment if you have any questions between now and kickoff or even throughout the games tomorrow. If you want me to look up a play and I got a little bit of free time, I'll hop on my tools and try to get back to you in the comments. And then if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, play $5, get 100. So I love that all these platforms are getting competitive with each other because this was at 50 just like a little over a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And they bumped it up to get $100 in bonus funds when you play your first 5 if you use code BACKDOOR. So make sure you throw in that code BACKDOOR. The information is down below. If you go through that link, it should just auto-populate the code for you. But just in case, make sure you're putting in code BACKDOOR. They're going to give you $100 when you play 5. And then Chalkboard, if you just want some free money to play with, sign up, use code BACKDOOR. They're going to give you $20, even if you don't deposit. Now, if you do deposit later, that's going to help support the channel and all that. But I love this deal for you guys. $20 free is an awesome deal. And Chalkboard's a lot of fun. Tons of alt lines, tons of promos, very smooth interface. I use an Apple, iPhone, so I don't know about the Android experience, but on Apple, it never crashes. It's always super fast. And they're just insane with the amount of promos they're running and discounts and whatnot. So take advantage of that and get some free money. And let's start breaking down these plays. So who do we got first here? AJ Barner. So let's look at the over-under for this game. This dude's going under the radar. So we got a nice, pretty decent over-under here at 47.5. So the Seahawks favored by just 1.5 playing in Jacksonville. Now, you guys probably remember Patrick Mahomes. I'll just say it now. I am looking at that Sam Darnold interception again, because the Jaguars have just playing absolutely elite defense, in my opinion. I know they're not totally shutting teams down, but they're really gritty. So keep that in mind. We'll talk more about that later, but we're talking about Barner right now. So yeah, they're expecting a close game and a high scoring game playing in Jacksonville. Just for fun, let's look at the weather for this one. Since we're playing in Jacksonville, I like this NFLweather.com. Pretty dope setup they've got here. I don't think, yeah, so slight chance of rain showers for this one. It shouldn't affect us too much. Yeah, so nothing really. Mid-70s, slight chance of rain. Nothing aggressive on that end, so we should be good to go. I didn't think I necessarily needed to cover that, but just in case, you never know. All right, so Barner. I thought Elijah Arroyo was really going to be the guy, the rookie they drafted, and Barner, because Barner seemed like more of a blocker, and he's proving that he's pretty solid, pretty athletic, decent hands, and so we're taking his fantasy score overall. If you look at the matchup here against Jacksonville, overall receiving yards, they do allow a decent amount. They get those picks, but they still allow a decent amount through the air. 27th in receiving yards allowed overall. To tight ends, it tightens up just a little bit. 20th in receiving yards allowed. Now we're going to look at all of this because we're taking the fantasy score. Receptions, 14th in receptions allowed, and then overall 26th in receptions allowed. So that's, part of the reason why we've got this high over under is we're seeing what Liam Cohen is doing with the Jags and really getting them on pace here to, I told you guys before, their defense is looking solid and they're winning games and their offense hasn't even totally figured things out. And I still think they haven't. I think that they're getting better each week. So I think we have a good chance for a shootout, and I still like that interception for Darnold. All right, so Barner. So the receptions alone, Outlier likes him over 2.5. If that's available, that is a great play. That's got to be like a goblin though. That's way too low for him. I would imagine it's at least at 3.5. But he had, since he's been kind of turning things up, Darnold's been looking his way a little bit more. He had 3 receptions against Arizona, and then against Tampa Bay, excuse me, he had 7. So a lot more involved. So we got a soft matchup for receiving yards and for receptions. And then he's been getting red zone looks a little bit. He had a touchdown against Tampa Bay. And then we've got 14th in touchdowns against Jacksonville. They allow 2.4 touchdowns a game. If we go to the tight end position, it softens up just a little bit to 15th. So you have like 0.4. Now let's take a look and see. We're going to go to the actual fantasy score. And you can see he's cleared it 3 out of 5 games so far. But this seemed like a little bit of a coming out, like a breaking out game for him. And that came right down to the wire. And then Darnold throws the pick on the final play. That was a great game. But yeah, he was heavily involved, 24 fantasy points, and then had 12.2 the week before against Arizona. And then earlier on, he had 10.8 against Pittsburgh. Okay, so they're only showing us one previous tight end fantasy score, and that would be Travis Kelce, who played them in that Chiefs, Jaguars game. Kelsey's line was set at 10.5 and he ended up going for 19.1. I missed that one because I was not sold on Kelce, and he had a great game. So I feel great about this 6.5 fantasy score. So the reason I want the fantasy score is you're getting a full point per reception. So 3 receptions, you're almost halfway there. If he gets the yardage average, if he goes for what would we need, 3 for 36 would cash this. But if he gets in the end zone, or if he gets 4 or 5 receptions, we're definitely good. So 6.5 just feels way too low for me still. So I'm feeling good about it. I'm gonna move my phone for a second because I have a small little space to work with here. Okay, let's see what Daily Grind thinks about it. Type in Barner on the DFS Optimizer. It's a great tool. Okay, so they don't like his longest reception at 13.5, and I don't necessarily like that either. He doesn't necessarily catch anything too deep, and he's not huge on yards after the catch, but he's gritty and he catches most of what's coming his way. So they're sort of like chip away at defenses with him. They like the fantasy score over, 50.36% odds to hit the over. And it's at 6.5 on Prizepicks. A lot of these platforms have it at 6.6, 6.7, 6.8. Pinnacle has it at 6.8. So you're getting a little bit of a dip there. They don't like the receiving yards either, over 25.5. I mean, I think I might consider that, but I really do. I like the fantasy score because I do think this is going to be about volume with the receptions. And if he gets in the end zone, we're cashed. Like one catch in the end zone cashes this. So we're gonna run with that today. All right, let's see what we got next. Jordan Love. All right, we'll take a quick peek at the over under for this game. I mean, it's the Bengals. So it's Joe Flacco's debut. Where are we at here? We'll see if that's an improvement over Jake Browning. Whew. So 44.5 over under. Green Bay favored by 14.5 playing in Green Bay. So the only thing that would maybe concern me about this is if it's such a blowout that Jordan Love isn't even playing in the fourth quarter. But I can't ignore this trend. So through 2025, his yards have just been on a steady incline. And it kind of doesn't totally matter the type of matchup he has. He did that against Detroit, Washington, Cleveland, and then went nuts against Dallas. And that was a wild game, 40-40 ends up being a tie. So 28 yards, I'm not like totally expecting that because there was overtime in that last game. But overall, this is a solid matchup. 24th in rushing yards allowed. And then to quarterbacks, actually second. So that might be more related to like what I was saying, like if these games get out of hand and there's no pressure on him, he might not be running as much. But what did we get that at? 8.5? Yeah, we got it at 8.5. It opened at 7.5. I'm still comfortable taking it just because I think there will be an opportunity here or there. Dallas was ranked 23rd in rushing yards to quarterbacks. So overall 24th. So he's done this. He did it against Cleveland, who was definitely getting pressure. But I think that the high ranking for them is less about their defense being good and more about like guys don't get pressured, so they just sit back there and throw the ball. Let's look at what some of these other quarterbacks have done though. Yeah, so they haven't really had anybody too crazy with mobility. I mean, they had Jared Goff, Bo Nix you would expect, but is probably a similar situation where he didn't need to run much. Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence is running more now, but back in September, he wasn't really running the ball much. And then Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco went for 6 yards. So I think that this is still a safe play, in my opinion. More so because of the trend, because of what he's been doing lately. He might just like grab a couple, quick first downs or just try to net some positive yards on a couple plays here and there. But I don't think the pressure is going to be too crazy. Let's take a look. Since that bumped up to 8.5, they might not, the optimizer might not like that. Let's take a look here. Type in Jordan Love. Okay, they like his passing plus rushing yards over 247.5, 52.98% odds to hit the over. Dang, so what was I on? Am I on? Yeah, rushing yards. So his rushing yards are at 8.5, and his longest rush is at 7.5. That's interesting. That's kind of interesting to me. They don't expect him to run much. They're taking the rush attempts down. They're taking it under 3.5. So yeah, they're not feeling. They barely have it favored to the under on the 8.5. So go with your gut. 50.7% odds to hit the under for Jordan Love. And we've got like a few platforms that are still at 7.5. But no one's setting the line higher than 8.5. So something to keep in mind. This is still such a low line. He could break this off in one play, so I'm not too concerned. They like his pass attempts over, his pass completions over. What else here? And they like this pass yards combo, Joe Flacco and Jordan Love, 450.5. They've got that at a 52.53% odds to hit the over. So we'll see. Not the most exciting play, but I think it's going to hit. So I threw it in there. All right. Stefan Diggs. I am excited about this play. I think he's breaking out. I don't think that they're adjusting his lines properly yet. So playing against New Orleans, let's look at the over-under real quick. Went too far. Okay, so we got a 45.5 over under, and New England favored by just 3.5, playing in New Orleans. So we're playing indoors. But Diggs has like absolutely emerged. It looks good. Like that game against Buffalo where they went into Buffalo and he, was able to beat his old team. I think that we're running with this momentum here. He had 101 yards against the Panthers, who are ranked 8th. So tough matchup. And then against Buffalo, ranked 2nd, he puts up 146 yards. And he was so huge for Drake May. Drake May played a great game, even though his fantasy output wasn't like exciting. He was giving Drake May so much time. There's not really any competition, obviously, for targets with Diggs. And Diggs was just tearing Buffalo up, like doing stuff off script, giving Drake May more time. And then like they've got like a solid connection now. And I'll take this all day, especially coming off that game, 146 and then 101. I think he's going to be cashing this. I think we got it at 61.5. Yeah, 61.5. I'll definitely take that. So the matchup, 11th in receiving yards allowed. So solid. New Orleans has been solid in that regard. And then 7th to wide receivers. So 128.4 yards allowed through the air to wide receivers on average. So I'm still not concerned because Buffalo was ranked 2nd. Carolina was ranked 8th, and that's when he's been breaking out. So let's take a look here. So he had 7 targets against Carolina, 12 targets against Buffalo, turn that into 8 receptions and 10 receptions. So this is just the time before the lines start to bump, in my opinion. If we look at some of these pass plays against New Orleans, so that outing against the Giants early in October, that wasn't great. They didn't play great in that game. It wasn't like Thursday night. And then Buffalo, I don't expect them to have anyone absolutely go off because of the way they spread the ball around, but most of their guys got it done. Khalil Shakir beat his line. Keon Coleman beat his line. Joshua Palmer beat his line. And then if we go back to Jackson Smith and Jigba and that crazy game, he went for 96 yards and he didn't even play the whole game, if I'm not mistaken. I think he sat out for like the 4th quarter. And then Torrey Horton beat his line. So I think that Diggs, 22% target share, and that's not even totally accurate. Hunter Henry's been getting a lot too, but the last 2 games, it's just been Diggs and Henry, if anything. So it should be all Diggs again. And I think that he's just gonna get open and May's gonna find him, in my opinion. All right, let's take a look on the optimizer. And I need some coffee ASAP. Okay, so this got bumped even while I'm on here. All right, so it's at 62.5. I'm still comfortable with it. You guys go with your gut. The optimizer's not liking it because it's more expensive than other platforms. Everyone else has it about 60.5, 61.5. Now it's at 62.5. So go with your gut. I'm not taking it under, but if this opened at 62.5, I would take it over. They do like the receptions over 5. 50.75% odds to hit the over minus 120. They like his fantasy score over 13. And they got his targets at 7.5. They've got that at a 50-50 shot. So I think this is going to be a fun game. Even though we'll see what if the Saints can continue to try to figure things out there. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of fantasy relevance in this game. All right. So Ryan Flournoy, this dude popped off. CeeDee Lamb's out again this week. And it was just solid. So we only have 1 game to go off of here because we haven't really heard of this dude before this last game. Goes out against the Jets, ranks 9th, and he goes for 114 receiving yards. And I believe he led the team in target share too. He had a 30% target share. He had 9 targets in that game, turned it into 6 receptions. And it was too good of a game for me to ignore it. And I don't think that his lines have been adjusted properly yet. Now this is, we talked about, this is the high over under. I'll show you guys again, 49.5 over under, just a 3-point spread favoring Dallas playing in Carolina. So I'm feeling good about it. if we take a look at the matchup overall, 8th in receiving yards allowed, and then to wide receivers 2nd. So tough matchup, but who are they going to be focusing on? They're going to be focusing on George Pickens more so, Jake Ferguson. And I think that he's going to be able to eat because he looked worthy of them giving him another shot here. So this line here at 36.5, is that what we got it at? Is that what I got it at earlier? I got it 35.5. So we'll see if the optimizer says that it got bumped or not. But there's not a whole lot to go over here other than like I'm just sort of going to ride the train because I think he earned more snaps. He played a great game. And yeah, so we had Jalen Waddle go for 110. Diggs went for 101. We talked about that. Not a whole lot to reference there, but I think the attention's going to be on Pickens. And I'm excited for this because I think his lack of sample size is why we're getting this line as low as we are. So we'll see what the optimizer thinks. Optimizer might not like this one. There we go. Yeah, so they don't like the receiving yards. So it is still at 35.5. They don't like it. You guys go with your gut. But I'm feeling good about him getting over on this one. It's at 35.5. Look at all these platforms have it at like 33.5. These are the type of opportunities I look for though, when it's a little bit dicier, but when there's not a big enough sample size for the odds makers to be confident about bumping it up. We have an opportunity there. We can look and say, hey, this makes sense to me. Like he just did it last week. So, what if he goes out there and goes like, I'm probably going to make a demon out of this. Just because he did look good, in my opinion. They like his longest reception over 16.5, 50.31% odds to hit the over. Let's hop back here and look a little deeper at what this looked like in that game. So his average yards per reception in that game was 19. The average. What was his long? 46. He had a 46 yarder. And I know it's the Jets, but they're still ranked 9th on defense against wide receivers for receiving yards. So yeah. So he had 6 receptions, did we say? 6 receptions and average 19 yards a catch. And then had 1 go for 46. So yeah, I'm excited for opportunities like this. So the 16.5, it's interesting that it likes that to go over because like 3 of those, if he was averaging 19, would totally cash his receiving yards. This is going to be a demon. This is probably going to be a demon that I'm going to crank all the way up just in case, because you're probably going to get an insane multiplier for like, 69.5 receiving yards or, if you took a chance and like, I just don't think they're going to make it that high for like those crazy multipliers that I like to play. So, all right. Who do we got next? Rico Dowdle. Okay, so we got a revenge game for Rico, who just came off a monster game. We got Chuba Hubbard out again, and I think when Chuba Hubbard comes back, this is going to be a 50-50 timeshare at best for Chuba. But I think Rico looked way better. Went for 32.4 fantasy points against Miami. I know soft matchup, I get it, but he's got the opportunity here. He's got the revenge game narrative, and let's start dialing in these details. So overall, Dallas is 30th in touchdowns allowed, 3.6 per game. To running backs, a little bit better, 13th, but teams are beating them through the air quite a bit. But I mean, gosh, the rushing yards, what do you have, like 206, I want to say? Let's see, in that last game. Yeah, so he had 206. We look at the matchup here. 20th in rushing yards allowed to running back specifically. 92.4 is what any given team has been averaging against them. And then Rico is coming off a 206 yarder against Miami, has another soft matchup and playing at home. And then overall rushing yards against Dallas, they're 23rd, 127.4 is what they're allowing. So great matchup, great narrative. He's going to have all of the touches. Let's take a look here. Break this down a little bit. He had 23 rush attempts in that game. He averaged 9 yards a carry on 23 attempts, 9 yards a carry. His longest rush was 53. Oof, I love this play. This is probably going to be another demon, but they've got his rushing yards already set somewhat high, 72.5. So we'll see what we can get for demons on that one. But good Lord, 206. And if you watch that game, it wasn't, I know it's Miami, I get it, but there were times when they had some guys on him and he was just, and again, it's not like we're going from Miami to like Cleveland or something, this is Miami to Dallas. And yeah, so you guys get it. Let's take a look at what some of these other guys have put up. So Breece Hall had 113 yards on the ground against them. Josh Jacobs had 86. And then you got DeAndre Swift. And yeah, this was when these earlier games, DeAndre Swift, yeah, he's getting a ton of touches, not really doing much impressive. Kyle Monangai, yeah, I'm not surprised neither of those guys hit. Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy. That's all they're showing us. So not really anything significant there. Let's take a look. Rico. They don't like the fantasy score, so go with your gut. I think he's going to have a monster game. 52.49% odds to hit the under. It is full point PPR. Keep that in mind. And he does have good hands. He's a solid pass catcher. They like his longest reception, over 9.5, 51.64% odds to hit the over. See, I think he can do this without even getting in the end zone. Not that he's just going to repeat from last week, but they won that game. And if you're averaging 9 yards a carry, not that he's just going to repeat that, but if you're doing that, your coach is just going to keep giving you those opportunities. They like his longest rush, over 14.5. They got it at 50.75% odds to hit the over, minus 121. They like his rushing receiving yards combo to go over, 92.5, 50.58% odds to hit the over. They like the rushing yards over. They like the rush attempts over. So just give me the fantasy score. I think he's getting in the end zone. Let's look at that matchup. This dude wants to drop a touchdown against the Cowboys. He had Javonte Williams is looking really good. So, but he still put up 1,000 yards when their team was kind of trash, and then they just let him go. So he had a touchdown that last game against Miami. Touchdowns against it. We already go over this? Maybe we did. Yeah, 13th. Okay. And then 3.6 on average, 30th. So, and he can get us a rushing or receiving touchdown. So I'm high on Rico this week. In fantasy and dynasty, believe it or not, I actually, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I sat Cam Scatabo to play Rico in the flex. And I don't think I'm going to necessarily regret it. My team's projected for a lot of points this week, but still, on Sleeper, full point PPR, he's projected for like 16.6. So I think that especially if he gets in the end zone, he's getting over this 15.5. So, all right, let's wrap it up here with our boy, Tyquan Thornton. Been singing his praises for a minute now. And here we are, 2025 season. They keep giving us 4.5. All right, just keep doing that. Prizepicks, I'm happy to take it. That's so easy for him to cash. Even when Rashee Rice gets back, if I see 4.5, I'm taking it. But right now, yeah, he had 12 against Jacksonville. He hasn't not done this all season. So 5 straight games, his lowest outing was 6.1. Let's take a look at that game, see how that played out. We're going to go to receiving yards. Excuse me. Sorry about the scratchy throat right now. Dang. All right, so in that game, he only had 2 receptions, 4 targets, and then is this on? Yeah, but on receiving yards. So he went for 41 receiving yards against the Chargers on 2 receptions, beat that 4.5. So this is my favorite play. 4.5. You could take the yards if you want, but he's getting looks downfield. He's getting some red zone looks. So 14% target share. It's a little bit like embellished because Hollywood Brown had this massive game. You guys remember he had like 16 targets or something like that. And then he hasn't really done much since. So if you take 16 off of that, he's not even the target leader. It would be Kelsey. But Tyquan Thornton is right down here with Kelsey. Kelsey has 16.9%, and then Thornton has 14.1. but his opportunities have been increasing. And let's look at the matchup. Actually, we didn't even break this one down. This one's going to be a fun one too. I think this has a high over under, if I'm not mistaken. The primetime game, yeah, 52.5. And Detroit, their defense is actually a little bit banged up too right now. So they're not going to be at 100%. But yeah, 52.5, super high over under. Chiefs favored by 2.5, playing in Kansas City. Let's take a peek real quick. Since we're playing in Kansas City. Okay. Glad we're taking a look at it. Slight chance of thunderstorms. Wind gusts a little bit higher than normal, up to 19 miles an hour. It doesn't scare me off of it. All I'm really hoping is that we don't have any game delays. Those are always annoying. But yeah, it's 4.5. Fantasy score. I'll take it. I don't need to really say much more about Tyquan. He's been good to us. And it's kind of like this this sneaky play where like he's not on the radar, he's not on the trending and all that stuff. And we're like, okay, yeah, don't get this thing trending. His receptions are set at 1.5. You might want to take that. But if he cashes that, he's probably cashing the fantasy score too. Yeah, so they like his receptions over, 52.37% odds to hit the over. They like the fantasy score over, 52.11% odds to hit the over. They like his receiving yards over 21.5. All of these, I'm good with all these. They don't like his longest reception over 16.5. I still think that looks good too, though. Let's jump back here real quick. In that last game against Jacksonville, he had 90 receiving yards. His average was 30 in that game. Longest reception was 34, but he had, 5 targets, 3 receptions. So 3 receptions against Jacksonville, he turned it into 90 yards. And you can see the trend. Other than Baltimore, we've got a pretty steady incline here. And I think that the narrative is just going under the radar. People think of big names like Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. Yeah, Xavier Worthy is going to continue to get more involved, but they like Thornton, and Mahomes is looking his way, and all these other guys, all these other bigger names are kind of drawing attention. And you got Thornton there, and then Mahomes is the perfect quarterback to find the open guy, extend the play, and then all of a sudden you see Thornton there wide open. Even if he's in a little bit of a tight window, Mahomes is going to get it right where he needs to. And Thornton has good hands. You guys saw in that last game, he has good hands. He's gritty. He can good at contested catches. I just think this dude's underrated. And I'm happy that we're getting this line so low. All right, let's go over some bonus plays. I'm going to put out a demon video on my other channel, so make sure you head over there for the demons later. And if you guys want the optimizer, dang, we got a lot of green on the board right now. Jeez. If you guys want the optimizer from Daily Grind, this thing will help you cash more often. It'll help you make plays quickly. It'll help you vet your plays. You can get 25% off when you use code BACKDOOR. You can lock that in for the rest of the NFL season. You can lock it in for all through NBA, because we're going to go hard with the optimizer during NBA. And the nice thing about it is this thing works so fast that if you have it for yourself, a lot of times some of what's on the board now won't be on the board in 5-10 minutes. So I still show you guys the plays, but a lot of times they're bumped by the time. These that are this green are going to be bumped quickly. But use code BACKDOOR, 25% off. You can lock it in for as long as you want. All that information is down below. Now let's look at some of these. So they love Aaron Rodgers' fantasy score for 14, 62.03% odds to hit the over, minus 163. Tua fantasy score. They like that over. They like Matt Stafford over 18. They like these quarterbacks. Look at all these vets up here. They're getting all the love right now. Jared Goff over 16.5. They got a 56.88%. There is some green on the board right now. They like this Derrick Henry plus Kyron Williams rushing yards combo under 148.5. Okay. Still 56.78%. Still pretty green, but look at these up in the 60s. Jump on these if you want. Just make sure that you're not dealing with any correlation. If that sort of thing bothers you, I just don't like when my multipliers start getting low because I got Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf or something. So keep that in mind. They penalize you. Jonathan Taylor under 19.5 fantasy score. Maybe. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm going and taking the under on Jonathan Taylor ever. But he's got the Cardinals playing at home. He could go, you just don't know. He can go for 2-3 touchdowns, you know, like, I'm going to pass on that one. Jaden Daniels over 7 rush attempts. Sure. I might be interested in that. You know, he's kind of getting back into rhythm since his injury. I don't think that the attempts is what I'd be looking at though. I'd probably be looking at maybe the yards, but they like it. So if you guys want to take it, it's at 7. DraftKings has it at 7.5. BetMGM has it at 8.5. So 7 is a value there. That's probably why the optimizer has it greened out there. Joe Flacco over 12.5 fantasy score. Yeah, maybe. That is a low fantasy score, but that's kind of what he's been hitting with the Browns. He does have Jamar Chase now. You know, T. Higgins, who has better weapons for sure. So yeah, that's low if you want to take a chance on that. Jake Ferguson over 43.5 receiving yards, 54.82% odds to hit the over -141. Yeah, 43.5. That's actually a pretty good bargain. It's up at 48.5 on Pinnacle, and it's still favored to go over. -128. It's at 49 on DraftKings, and it's at a 50-50 shot. 43 is a good deal. That's a solid one. You guys are getting some bangers on the optimizer today. All right. Hassan Haskins over 9.5 rush attempts. See, I don't know if it's going to be Haskins or Vidal, Kamani. Like, we don't know. Even when they asked Greg Roman about it, he said they're both going to be very involved, and we're not really going to like position one over the other. You know, so maybe 9.5. I don't know if that's the rush. If the rush attempts is where I'm aiming on that one, but the optimizer likes it. It's at 10.5 on FanDuel. Everyone else has that 9.5, and everyone's favoring it to go over. So yeah, maybe. We do have Quentin Johnston also dealing with a little bit of an injury. So maybe they are going to lean more on the run game a little bit. Now they got 2 backs that they're like, okay, like let's just feed them both, see how it goes. James Cook under his fantasy score. Well, we were riding the James Cook train for a while, and he was taking good care of us, and then he burned us last time we took him. So yeah, I'm probably just fading. They like the under though, 54.06% odds to go under 16 fantasy score. All right, man, usually I'm done by now, but we're barely in the orange here. Orange yellowish color. Michael Penix Jr. over 2.5 rush attempts. I like these kind of plays. When it's that low, even if you're not a running quarterback, I mean, 3 rush attempts, if he has to scramble 3 times, you're good to go. Oh, I see. We're getting into Monday here, though. I was just thinking, like, wait a minute. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Some of these are going to be hot because they are so early. But yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. Shout out, man, I can't remember your name right now, but some dude said he was tuning in from Africa. And that's awesome, man. It's wild that we're living in a time where I'm posting pics on YouTube and someone across the world is tuning in. That's really cool. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video. Drop me a comment if you have any questions, and stay tuned over at the Russo Fantasy Sports channel. I'm going to be dropping some demon plays. So God bless. Have a great weekend, guys. I will catch you in the next one.